Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the show. On behalf of Disciple of City, I'm Todd Carlton, and this is the Toddcast. Friends, if you have been seeking to find out the truth of Jesus and how he can change your life, you've reached the right place. This is the place where you'll hear incredible stories and testimonies of how Jesus did exactly that with different people. And friends, at Disciple of City, we exist to equip Christians with simple tools on how to share the gospel and see disciples making disciples. We have a free video series on our website. You can check that out at discipleofcity.ca. It is bilingual. You can get that version of our video series en français aussi. And check out our website for the Toddcast at thetoddcast.ca. You can get a link to the latest episode in there. Friends, we're on socials, Facebook, Instagram. Check it out. Click the like button, follow, subscribe on YouTube so you can find out when the latest episode drops. And special thanks today to executive producer Caden Carlton and media relations Sheila Juty. And friends, today we head to Quebec. This is a long list here, friends. Our guest today is an integrated engineer, a military vet, a naturopathic practitioner, and ultra-endurance athlete. He competed the Epicdeca, which only 3 people in the world have been able to attain. That's 10 Ironman competitions in 10 days on 6 different Hawaiian islands. He is part of Hungry Warrior Academy, which specializes in human performance science with faith-centered principles to help Christian men operate at the highest level in every area of life. Please welcome JD Tremblay. Hello, my friend.
Hello, Todd.
Bonjour, bienvenue, mon gars.
Ben oui, merci, Todd, pour me prendre sur ton show.
Puis c'est Jean Tremblay, correct?
Ouais, c'est Jean-David, ouais. I go with JD because, very often people just butcher the name.
Well, friends, it's Tremblay.
That's right. Yeah, I grew up in the northern part of Quebec, in Lac-Saint-Jean, where all the Tremblays come from.
Awesome. Yeah, so I just left that for a little surprise, but I parle en français pas beaucoup. I couldn't read some of those things, some of those bigger words, but I speak enough French to get by.
Yeah, I can understand the accent for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. Glad we could connect. Welcome to the show. You have a huge list of stuff here. But my first question actually is what is an integrated engineer?
I graduated from Western University. Integrated engineering, and that's a special program that less than 10 university offers in the world, and it's all the field of engineering into one, and in your final year then you get to specialize into a particular field, or you just remain as a general type of engineer that knows or have seen all of the fields.
Oh, okay. I'm far from an engineer. I'm an engineer in the Lord. That's about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
So JD, before we get into all this stuff that you've done, because this Ironman competition is certainly impressive, but how was it growing up for you in Quebec as far as faith goes? What was your background like in faith growing up?
Yeah, I grew up in Lac-Saint-Jean in northern Quebec. French community. My parents were both bringing me to church, and my dad was a Baptist evangelist. And at the age of 14 years old, my parents decided that they wanted to get a divorce. Well, whether they wanted it or not, they got a divorce. And by the age of 17 years old, I joined the military. So that was my childhood in a nutshell.
Yeah. So you said your dad was a Baptist evangelist?
That's correct. Yes.
So were you like exposed to him sharing the gospel a lot, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. My dad was going door to door, knocking, talking to people about Jesus. I remember all the days where the Mormons or Jehovah Witness would come and knock at the door and start talking to people, and nobody wanted to talk to them, but my dad was spending hours on the grass just talking to them about Jesus and trying to understand their point of view and then sharing the gospel at the same time to them. And it always led to some fruitful conversation, understanding that there was some mutual respect with their faith and their belief. However, my dad remained quite strict regarding these types of values.
Right. And as he did that, did you find like, was it very real to you at the time, or at that young age and seeing him do that, was that just kind of like your family culture, or how did that shape in your heart at that time in your life?
What I did not like about what my dad did was he did not explain it completely. It was somewhat of a dogmatic system where I'm the leader and you must go to church, and it's Sunday, you wear church clothes, you go to church, and I did not understand really what I was doing or what I was going through. It was mostly just follow the leader, and then you're going to see your friends on Sunday. If you don't want to wake up on a Sunday morning, you're still going to church. You're in the car. It's cold in the winters of Quebec. We're still going to church. The car doesn't start. We're going to find a way to get to church somehow, even if we have to push the car, or we're going to figure it out. My dad was really by the book, going to church on Sundays. So that did not fit well with us once we got to teenage years, because again, it's an age where you question everything and even the authority, and so that dogmatic way of following did not fit well, and my dad did not adjust appropriately at that time, and then the divorce happened. So that's why they were going through their own turmoil. So for me, I was subjected to the gospel, growing up Christian. But again, my dad, what I loved about what he did is he never pushed it on us. It was not, okay, you're a baby, you're going to get baptized. Or this is the age where everybody get their first communion, you're getting your first communion. Or this is the day that you're going to accept Jesus. He was saying, when you're ready, God will call you, and this is the day where you will accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And my dad... he did not explain it to me, but the way I can frame it now that I understand it is every knee and every tongue, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that he is Lord. And if I look at this verse, I could say that it's either here or on the other side that this is going to happen. Over here, you have the choice, and over there, on the other side, you don't have the choice. When you are on the earth, the choice that you have is you either repent, you either bow the knee to Jesus while you can, by yourself, or there are certain circumstances that are going to force you to either believe or almost go to a point of even dying.
Right. So when you joined the Army, so you said 17.
Correct. Yeah, I went to my parents, and it was quite hilarious because I was one of the youngest, and we have this saying in the military where they always tell you, you signed on the dotted line, so we can do whatever we want with you. And I said, well, I didn't. My parents did. I was 17. I was just a kid. So is it my parents' responsibility now? So we always laughed and joked around about it. But I joined, I was 17 years old. My parents signed one on my papers, and I was gone for, I would say, 10 years, a little over 10 years, because I would be leaving and coming back maybe during Christmas time. That's about the time that I would see my family. So I had to be exposed to the military culture, which a lot of it did not fit well with Christianity. So I had to make my own decision based on what I learned as a child. And the way I could frame my entire military career is on my dog tags, which is the metal piece that most people are familiar with it. I'll just explain it. But when you die, then you're wearing it, and then they break it to recognize you, and if you are in war. Okay, so that's the military necklace. Not all military members wear it. It's only in a time of war that you would wear those dog tags, and it was really dominant in like Vietnam and World War II. So nowadays, it's a necklace anyway that you get issued in the military. On it was written your religion. So you are allowed to write what type of religion. So in the event that you die, a priest can come and see you if you are Catholic, like Roman Catholic, or a pastor can come and see you, or other types of religion. That individual that is in charge of that religion can come and give you the proper burial or the proper ceremony based on your faith. On mine was written Christian, but I did not take it seriously. For me, it was a necklace that I was wearing. For me, it was, well, this is somewhat of a system that I must just abide by. And my dad told me that this was important, therefore I should follow it. But I did not read my Bible regularly. I did not meditate on the word day and night. I did not. So it led me to certain circumstances. So I'll explain it because I've explained it many times, like multiple times on, and I'm quite open and vocal about it, is for me, my drug of choice was pornography. So I was masturbating to pornography. I did not see it as a problem. You're gone in operations. It seemed as everybody was doing it. I was told, well, it's 90% of guys that are doing it, and the other 10 are hiding it or lying about it. So I thought, well, that's just normal. You're gone in operation. So it's not until I got married that at the time, again, I did not see it as a problem, but my wife at the time saw it as a problem. She said, well, even if you're gone, this is like cheating. Like you should not be doing these actions. And so, again, based on my faith, I did not take it seriously. For me, it was, well, first off, everybody's doing it. I am a Christian. I am saved. And this is the way that I read the Bible. It was just, you accept Jesus in your heart, and then there's nothing that has to be changed. That was it. Like, now I'm saved. So I have salvation. I'm going to heaven. Why would I care about all the others? They can deal. Or the famous saying about, well, I'll pray for them, and whatever they do behind closed doors is up to them. So they are performing their own action. I do my own action. If they choose to believe, they choose to believe. And I'm not the one that is going to talk to them about Jesus. They will just learn about it somehow. So the divorce happened inevitably after a military operation. I went through a divorce. And it's after the divorce that I came out of the military, and that's when I started really looking at this Christianity. I had no hold on anything. I contacted my dad. My dad did not really know how to help me financially. It was difficult because my dad could not help me. My mom can't help me. So I'm just left to my own, which in essence was a blessing.
Sorry, man, you're talking about a divorce from your then wife.
Correct. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So I was in the military, and my wife and I went through a divorce. Correct. Yeah. And I had to look at my life and take it even more seriously, and to understand where I was coming from. I understood that, well, I'm the leader, so a sin is a sin, and regardless of what she did, I'm the leader, so I'm judged even more because I'm the man, and as the leader of the family, I should not abide by these types of actions. So a lot of introspection, a lot of looking at how God views it and not how the world views it. And that's when really my faith kicked in. That's when I accepted Jesus completely, and I said, okay, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be, but I definitely want to be different than others. And I don't care about their fake statistics that 90% of the guys are doing it and then the other 10 are lying or hiding it. I said, I want to be part of a different world, so to speak. I want to be part of who God calls his sons. And I took it a lot more seriously. Now, the divorce did not, everything, all my action did not solve the relationship, so to speak. There's no beautiful ending out of it. I started going to school. I started training a lot more because now I had a lot more energy. So, which is understandable. So I had no idea that I had that in me. For me, I was just removing life away from my body, essentially. And it felt good, but I was not basing my decision on facts and logic and science. I was basing my actions on how it felt, essentially. It was just that was the way. So I went to university, and it's in university that I went to do my first Ironman, and I enjoyed it.
So now, can you explain, just for people listening around the world, what exactly an Ironman is?
So I'll explain it in the metric system, and the metric system is 3.8 kilometers of swimming, and then followed by 180 kilometers of cycling. And then you follow it up with a full marathon, which is 42 kilometers of running. The Ironman brand is done in 17 hours to complete. And if you're doing a non-Ironman brand, sometimes they give you a different time frame to complete that event. For us, during the Epicdeca, we had 24 hours to complete that event. However, we also had to switch from one island to the next.
For each event?
Correct. We had, yes. So for us, during the Epicdeca, again, I'm fast forwarding to the Epicdeca, but the Epicdeca is 10 Ironmen in 10 days on all 6 Hawaiian islands. So there's only 3 people in the world that did it, and history, and I'm the only Canadian that finished that race also. So to give you a little bit of a perspective on the distance, since you're in Canada, it's like swimming the entire length of Toronto, which is about 38 kilometers. And then you hop on your bike and you bike 1,800 kilometers, which is all the way down to Halifax and a bit back up north, close to Moncton. And then you start running all the way to Montreal. It's 420 kilometers. And that gives you about a perspective of the magnitude of it. Now you do it over the span of 10 days. And you also have to hop from island to island. So you're not sleeping much. So that's what I did.
So, okay, can I ask you why, man?
Oh, I missed the boat. That's why. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody told me after they have taxis that could have taken me around, but I missed the boat.
So did you do a single Ironman first and then you did the Deca?
Correct. I did one Ironman without training. I was going through some mental struggles. A lot of it had to do with loneliness, what went on with the military, my service, some that had to do with definitely the divorce, the situation that I was in. And so I was going through a lot of mental struggles, plus going to university. And I just said, I always wanted to do an Ironman before I die, so I'm going to do one. But I was not trained. I did one, and it really resonated with me very well. I completed it without training, finished the second one a few months after, and that's when I approached a coach at university and I said to him, I just finished 2 Ironman in 2 months without training. And he said, okay, there's definitely something going on here. How about you come and train with us? And I did. I came and trained with Olympians, guys that are so fast in university at running and hold Canadian records and running. And so I really enjoyed that time, but they did not understand that through all of the laughter and everything, I was going through a huge mental struggle. I was barely living. I was not even alive, so to speak. I was just running with them and going through the motion of training for another event. I finally ended up doing an Ultraman. So I did my first in Penticton. The Ultraman is give or take double the distance of an Ironman over the span of 3 days, and you have a 12-hour cutoff. And I did that one. Then I did another one in Mexico, and I did a couple of other races, which qualified me for the World Championship. And again, God kept training me and building my faith over those years. I finished my degree, and a guy got injured, which was a guy that I followed on Facebook, and he was a doctor in New York, and he wrote on his Facebook page, I got hit by a car in October. I can't do the Epicdeca. I'm one of the 10 people that can do this race. So they were only taking 10 people because it was a 10-year anniversary race for the Epic 5. The Epic 5 is 5 Ironman, 5 Island, 5 days. And they do it every year. There's about 40 people, give or take, that did that race. For their 10-year anniversary, they decided to do the Epicdeca. One of the racers got injured, Joe Jave, and he wrote on his Facebook, I can't do it because I'm injured. So a voice in my head said, ask him if you can buy the race from him. So it says in the Bible to test the spirit. So I said, God, is this really from you? But it doesn't cost anything to ask. The guy was willing to sell me his registration because they were only taking 10, not 11. The guy was willing to sell it to me. And it did not make sense to me at all because I was $20,000 in debt, and just the registration was $15,000. Oh. So I needed a minimum of $35,000 just to essentially break even. Now I did not even have flights for myself, those 4 people that are going to accompany me as my crew, all the rental cars, the hotels, the food, all the equipment, all of it would amount to much more than $35,000. So I said, God, I need that money. Plus, so I made a list and I said, I need a minimum of a certain amount. And then I said, God, I need this amount. Plus I need 4 people, and I need it within the next 2 weeks, which to me did not make sense at all, like at all whatsoever, because I said, well, there's no way that I'm going to get $35,000 minimum in the next 2 weeks. So, I had a lady come to my house to clean because I was doing some renovation and there was a lot of drywall everywhere. And so she comes in clean and says, have you ever thought about selling your house? And I said, yes, I've thought about it. I tried to sell it for the last couple of years, but it wouldn't sell. And I've tried it many times, never had an offer on my house. She said, well, I'm a real estate agent. I have my license. I could sell your house. And I said, well, you can try, but that's up to God if it's going to sell or not. So, yeah, you heard that right. I sold my house. I sold my house so I can go do a race. I mean, I got an offer on the house. Within the span of 2 weeks, I started contacting a lot of people, and somehow I got 4 people that are extremely knowledgeable in crewing or have done large events like these before. So they understand the mindset and what I was going through. And it was within the time frame. So those were all variables that I could not control. So that definitely built my faith. And I ended up in Hawaii training or doing the Epicdeca. So
wow. Yeah, that's something, eh? It's amazing how God can move in different ways, and you know, people can sort of dismiss it as coincidence or whatever, but I mean, when you know what you need and things just fall into place, especially that fast, and to get 4 people that, like you say, I've helped some people out at some smaller runs, but it doesn't compare to having the experience and knowledge of what you would have been going through for such an extreme physical endurance. Obviously, most people don't clearly make it.
yeah, we were 10 people that registered. 6 people showed up on the start line, and 3 people finished.
Wow.
Which, yeah.
When you were talking about just, you know, before this, when you were talking about training, you were training with all these athletes and stuff, but inside you were going through all kinds of stuff. Did you experience like the comfort of the Lord within that, even though you were struggling and sort of processing through all that stuff that you'd gone through in your life? Or did that sort of comfort of the Lord come to you later as you sort of experienced his goodness and, you know, the provision for doing this race and different things like that? You know what I mean?
Correct. The way I could explain it is it's sort of a relationship that I broke with God over years, and I have to face that I broke that relationship, and now I have to face the consequences of my actions. That relationship, I had a comfort in the sense of knowing it would all work out. I would just not know how it would work out. And the mental struggles are in a way to be explained that you have to do steps that are quite difficult, that are contradictory to the way that I was conditioned to think. But that I had the comfort of God, but knowing that it would happen later on. So when you wake up in the morning, you know you're a sinner. You have to face it. You have to face the consequences. You know this void is there. But the difference between now and then is that now I'm accepting that there is a void, or that I'm accepting that there is no void. Back then, I thought there was a void. Right. It's almost like you're at the end of a precipice, like you're at the edge of a cliff, and there is this massive void that you're never going to be able to cross. But then now knowing is that void is non-existent. That void has already been filled by the grace of God. So now I know that God is with me. Now I know that he's filled that gap. So the mental struggles are still there, but I'm able to combat them at a different level because I understand that the gap is already filled. So I'm on the edge of the cliff, but I've already been to the edge of the cliff. I know that there's no cliff. And the worst that can happen to me is what? I'm going to get tortured and die? I've already won the race. I'm a winner. I know that I'm going to heaven based on the grace of God, salvation, and not my work. So I know that gap is filled. So the mental struggles are still present. They're at another level. But back then, I thought that I had to fill that gap. And I thought that he would not want of me, that I was unlovable.
Right. Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good testimony because it's not always instant change and like you said, it just, when you accepted Jesus, fully into your heart later in life, it doesn't mean that all of your problems instantly go away. But it's like now you're working on building that relationship with him, understanding who he is as a loving father, understanding your worth and who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And every time that you meet another Christian that is on the same level, that is taking his faith seriously, you automatically connect. Like there is this automatic connection, somewhat like it was explained to me as a triangle, that every relationship is a triangle, regardless of the relationship, friendship, romantic, any type of relationship, family. And at the bottom, you have both humans, and the closer they get to God, the closer they are. And so as soon as you meet these Christians, you're automatically connecting with them because you're connecting at a spiritual level. And even if you are in a church, you know that you are distant with some of these people. So it's not because they're doing work, because they're in a church, or because they're following some religious values that they are necessarily closer to you, that it's based on their relationship with God. And that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, 100%. JD, so what started Hungry Warrior Academy? Can you share with us the sort of the birth of that, or where your heart was with that?
For sure. At first, I came back from the Epicdeca. A lot of people were talking to me saying, well, how did you do this? This seems insane. You need to be in a mental institute. We received a lot of a lot of negative came out of that. And meanwhile, nobody knew that I was in a storage unit. So I came back and I was in a tiny little room with all my boxes, sleeping on an inflatable mattress because I sold my house. So the hardest part was not completing that event. The hardest part was coming, well, I would say home, but it's not really a home.
And starting over.
Completely.
Yeah.
So I wrote the book, Hunger for More in Life, became a bestseller in French, English, and Spanish. And then because I had to put on paper what I went through and how people understand how they could overcome mental struggles and defy those limitations in their life, then we created the Hungry Warrior Academy based on the book to now provide a service to men who might be struggling in the same ways, where for me, discipline was already part of my life. It was not part of the military, definitely not, because the military doesn't give you your kit with your boots and all your clothes, and then all of a sudden they say, well, go back in the stores and they're going to cut your head and put a chip that has discipline in it. There are a lot of military members that are undisciplined, and then there are a lot that are disciplined. What the military gives you, and I can agree to a certain degree that now they are failing in the Canadian military, especially with their structure, is that they're not providing the right structure to foster a solid discipline, which that's why the military members are in large numbers undisciplined at the moment, where it became a national security issue that they proved with data that, and everybody can look at it, that 28% are obese at the point where they cannot even be deployed. So if 1 in 4 individual in the military is unable to be deployed, that's a lack of discipline. That's not a that's their lack of system and structure. So, which proves there's a lot of people that are undisciplined in the military. There's a lot of disciplined members. The point is that the military created, or at its core, was supposed to put a structure in place, a set of systems to foster that discipline, which is what we're doing with the academy. So we have online courses, we have online sessions, and we also have some retreats where we take the guys and understand that they might have the discipline, but they might not have the clarity and the structure in their life to foster growth physically, mentally, and spiritually. So we have some amazing coach. We have one that is starting very soon, a cohort that is starting very soon. It's all online and people can register. It's led by an ex-Navy SEAL that served for over a decade. So he's seen combat in real life and spiritually as well. So he's definitely ready to cater to all of the needs that these men have, to bring them to another level mentally. Because the way that we are different with all the other retreats and sort of camps that a lot of those other agencies are doing, is they're catering to the emotional side of men, where they're being yelled at and profanity is being used, and they're just using them as pets and throwing them in the mud. And so we don't yell, we don't use profanity, we use science, fact, logic, to get them to be more aware about their behaviors. And so that creates some form of decision making that is based on logic and facts, rather than on just the emotional side of just being yelled at. And now you bring it to your family, and now you're yelling at your family. That is not the level of masculinity that we need in this world. We don't need emotional men at all whatsoever. And then we don't need unhinged individuals in this world. What we need are men that are basing their decision based on fact and logic, to get them to become more courageous in their life, as the Bible would say, be men.
Yeah. And so this is open to everybody, like whether you're Christian or not, but you have that Christian element to it, right? Of bringing faith.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, they will learn physically, mentally, and spiritually. Nobody is allowed to practice another religion on the grounds of the academy. So that's a definite no. If you want to be respectful about the religion and not, that's on you. But the foundation is definitely Christian. And at the moment, we cater only to men, and that's because, one of the person that is going to lead those retreats in the woods is me, and I would have a difficult time explaining to my future wife that that I'm going in the woods with a bunch of women to. So that's why we only cater to men at the moment. And one day we will look at probably expanding if the opportunity comes to cater to women. But at the moment, we only cater to men.
Yeah, well, and that's your experience and your dealings with mental health, and I'm sure the other people that you work with too, and stuff like that. So, yeah, you're targeting
Definitely.
that.
And there are other resources. That's the thing. There are other resources. We have no problem. We have a list of other therapists and other individuals that might cater to their needs much better, because what we want is people to reach their own success, not necessarily just take their money. It's not about that. It's about getting them the results that they're looking for. That's the point of the Hungry Warrior Academy and how we're different.
Yeah. Have you had someone that you could share? Have you had someone that's come in and sort of not only been benefited physically and mentally and stuff like that, but sort of their faith exploded in that as well, that you could share a little testimony that you could share about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there is one guy that came in and physically he lost 28 pounds in a 2-week span. Everything was healthy. He had no injury at all. There's a person that came in and he had difficulty even speaking and putting words together because, again, sometimes it's affecting the mental capacity of an individual to be constantly bombarded with certain, we'll call it certain types of frequency, so to speak. And so now he is looking at closing a $50 million deal by partnering with other people. So going from this to now closing a deal, this massive, I think that proves what God can do in the life of someone. And in terms of, so that's the mental capacity. And then for the spiritual side, as the question was asked, one guy came in and he was not Christian. He was open. We're not here to push Christianity. We're here to educate. That's what Christianity is about. Christianity is about having a serious discussion about what's on the other side. What are you doing with your life? What is the purpose of life? Do you even know what the purpose of life is? And if you don't, well, here, it's written in this book. Here, we're going to talk about it. And the guy accepted Jesus, and it's very difficult because his family is not acceptant of his belief. However, he still continues to pray to God, and his faith, again, expanded. But the way I would qualify it right now is that he is in. It's sad, but he's like the seed with thorns, essentially. That's the way I could frame it with a biblical metaphor that is used in the scripture. One day we might see it completely explode, but right now he is still following God, and we're glad that he is, and we make some great friendship with them. So
that's awesome. And that's always difficult. And there's many people who experience God or accept Jesus, and there's a thing with their family, and that that's a testimony, I'm sure, into itself. But oftentimes God moves really super powerfully in those situations as well too. So,
well, that's the thing. It's not up to us to convert people.
Right.
Like the conversion comes from the Holy Spirit. The conversion comes from the Holy Spirit opening their eyes to how the world operates, what's to come, and who Jesus is. The same way that to me, I was blind until I I went through all of the struggles that massive blow in my life. And that's when I had to face God. And I started seeing things that were completely different than how I was looking at them before. It's somewhat of another world. Like you are in the world and somehow you're living a life where you're focused on one part. And the day I accepted Jesus, again, we talked about it, nothing changed with my problems, but I started seeing the colors in the trees. I started seeing that there was life, even though I was already alive. So it's almost like going through life as a zombie, going to church as a zombie, just going through the motion, not really understanding why, but now making those decisions by the heart. Like now I live this life. I am able to thank God, not just for the food, the clothes that I have, the nature, and even I go as far as thanking God for all my haters, all the people that are my enemies, all the people that want me harm. They are blind. They don't know what life is. And maybe one day God will unshackle them or take away those blindfolds that they have put on themselves and rejected God. So that would be my advice for everybody, is to start taking your faith seriously. Quite seriously, because I didn't. I was wearing the dog tags. I grew up. There was no, there's nothing wrong, so to speak, with my childhood. I lived a normal, typical childhood where we did not grow up with a lot of money or not a lot of luxury. And going through a divorce is not the extreme of extreme trauma that a child can live, but somehow I did not take it seriously until it happened to me. So hopefully people can use it as a testimony that you don't need this amazing testimony going to another country and God is using you to sell your house and go through a divorce and all of this trauma just to lead to Him, that they can live a comfortable life so that they can support the ministry of other people. And it doesn't have to be financial, by the way. It just that they are able to support, just like we are doing now. Like now we are in 5 different countries, providing for thousands of children, as the Hungry Warrior Academy, Africa. And the way we're different by any other organization is that we bring a mentora system. So we don't just provide the food. We've given houses and clean water. We're also giving a mentora system so that in the event that, which happens very often for a lot of organization and people just turn a blind eye to it, the money and the tools often end up in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
So what we give is a mindset to those children, because we are with UNICEF. So that's the children branch with the United Nations. And we are there to give a new mindset, a new perspective to the children so that when they grow, they don't have to change their entire environment. And even if all of the tools, all the money is taken away, they have a different framework. They have a different mindset. So it's not just to take their culture, take the people, bring them to another country. It's to have a different mindset, a different perspective, which is exactly what the Bible is talking about, to renew your mind daily.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, man, thanks very much for sharing your story with us today.
Yeah.
Friends,
thanks for having me, Todd.
Friends, you can check out JD's book, Hunger More in Life. And if I saw that right, on Amazon, $1.31?
That's for the Kindle version.
For the Kindle version?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get that book on Instagram, on Amazon. JD's on Instagram too, JD Tremblay, TRI on Instagram. We'll have all these links in the description, and hungrywarrioracademy.com. Have a look at that, friends. Be encouraged. Check that out. Maybe you're struggling with some stuff, and JD and his crew can help you out. Bro, I had one final question for you. You're starting a new class coming up, I think you said, or a new intake. And when you get to the part where there's a retreat, and somebody, one of the students, if you will, actually says to you that, they're going through all this stuff, but they're really struggling. They're carrying a lot of stuff mentally that they're hiding. Kind of like you said, what you were going through when you were working out with all those Olympians and stuff. Science of the body and the mental stuff aside, what would you say spiritually to them to help them connect with the Father and the loving Father and the freedom in that?
Well, we have the Epic Foundation and then our DECA system. And so we run the individuals so that they understand what our foundation is. And E is eternal restoration, P is physical temple, I is identity, and C is community. So C is community, as well, connect with individuals that are either with like-minded, so that iron sharpens iron. I, identity, what is your identity rooted in? And then we run them through our DECA system. So a lot of people, it's in their work, right? What do you do in life? Well, I'm an engineer. Well, where is your identity? What is it rooted in? What are people seeing when they're looking at you? Are they seeing Jesus, or are they seeing that you're an engineer, so to speak? P, physical temple. So, well, you told me to get the science and the facts out of it. So physical temple, the way I could frame it is, physically and mentally, you must be sharp and regulate your energy in consequence of that eternal restoration, which is what a lot of people are lacking. What they're doing is they are not regulating their energy properly to be in line with meditation, so to speak. They wake up in the morning, cortisol levels high, they have a nice shake, which is all healthy, but their insulin level is really high, and then they go and meditate and pray. Well, how are you able to even concentrate if your energy is not regulating to what you're about to do? So the physical temple is equally important, how you regulate that energy, which we can dive more into once the people come. And then finally, the eternal restoration is definitely key component. So we discuss what is meditation, what is prayer, because it's not just about prayer. Prayer is all good, but if there's no action, then faith without work is dead. So you can pray all you want, but if God asked me to sell my house, that's what I was supposed to do, and that's what I did. If God was asking me to train for an event, and it turns out that it was the Epicdeca that fell on my desk, I was to sell my house, I was to perform that action, and I was to live in faith and not by sight. And so we're able to dive more into the nitty-gritty parts of what it means to have an eternal restoration in the relationship with the divine, which is Jesus Christ.
Amen. Thanks, bro. And so true. All of those things need to go together. And, but there's so many things out there that just focus on the body and the mind and not incorporate, like you said, that identity and who you are in Him. And faith without words is dead. So we really appreciate what you're doing. And thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. Thank you, Todd.
Bless you, man.
Yep.
Friends, the Lord might ask you to do some crazy things, maybe an Epicdeca. But he's just setting you up because he has a plan for your life and a way that he wants to use you and a way he wants you to relate to other people and a way he can use you to help other people see how glorious he really is.